January 2019, the NFC Championship game. The New Orleans Saints are just one play away from reaching the Super Bowl.
Quick snap. Breeze.
Drew Brees launches a perfect spiral downfield. But what happens next would spark one of the most controversial moments in NFL history. Before the ball even arrives, Rams defender nickel Roby Coleman crashes into Saints receiver Tommy Lee Lewis, a textbook pass interference. But the flags stay down.
No flag for Tommy Lee Lewis.
The crowd falls silent. 70,000 fans in the Superdome and millions watching at home witnessed what many call the worst missed call ever. Was it just human error, or was it something more sinister? For decades, fans have questioned the unthinkable. Could the NFL be rigged? Strange calls at the worst moments, suspicious betting patterns, and former insiders accusing the game of something unthinkable.
Quit blaming, quit covering somebody's butt, and tell it the way it is. Be a man and take responsibility.
And the deeper you look, the harder it is to ignore the signs. This isn't just a conspiracy, it's history. But if you think the NFL is all about fair play, think again. From its earliest days to modern Vegas odds, we will uncover the moments that shock the game and the money that might be pulling the strings. This is the story no one wants you to hear. The NFL has always been a source of thrilling moments, legendary performances, and unforgettable games. But over the years, several incidents have left fans questioning whether the league operates fairly or if certain teams and storylines are given preferential treatment. From suspicious officiating decisions to full-blown scandals, some moments have been too controversial to ignore. One of the most controversial calls in NFL history came in the 2001 AFC divisional playoff game between the New England Patriots and the Oakland Raiders. This game is now known as the Tuck Rule game, and it marked the beginning of Tom Brady's legendary career, but many believe it was a game the Raiders should have won. With less than 2 minutes left in the game, the Patriots were trailing 13-10 in heavy snowfall. Tom Brady dropped back to pass but was hit by Raiders cornerback Charles Woodson, causing the ball to come loose. The Raiders recovered what appeared to be a game-sealing fumble, which would have ended the Patriots' season. After a review, the referees reversed the call, citing a little-known rule, the Tuck Rule, which stated that if a quarterback's throwing motion had started but was incomplete when the ball was lost, it would be considered an incomplete pass rather than a fumble. The Patriots
Lost the football. It's on the ground. Covered by the Raiders.
After reviewing the play, the quarterback's arm was going forward. It is an incomplete pass. 2nd and 10 on the 42.
Wow.
The Patriots retained possession, tied the game with a field goal, and went on to win in overtime. They later won the Super Bowl, starting the dynasty that dominated the next 2 decades. Before this moment, most fans had never even heard of the Tuck Rule, and it had almost never been enforced. Many believed the referees favored the Patriots, as the Raiders' recovery would have ended the game. Meanwhile, the NFL later removed the Tuck Rule in 2013, essentially admitting it was a flawed rule. To this day, many Raiders fans believe the game was rigged to favor Tom Brady and the Patriots, ensuring a more compelling storyline for the league. Moreover, Super Bowl 40 between the Seattle Seahawks and Pittsburgh Steelers is often cited as one of the most one-sided officiated games in Super Bowl history. The Seahawks played well enough to compete for the championship, but a series of questionable calls left many believing the NFL had an agenda. The Seahawks scored an early touchdown, but the refs called offensive pass interference on receiver Darrell Jackson, wiping away the score. The replay showed minimal contact, leading many to believe it was a weak call. Steelers quarterback Ben Roethlisberger appeared to fall short of the goal line on a quarterback sneak, but the referees ruled it a touchdown despite a lack of clear evidence.
You take a look. Does the ball get to the goal line?
A crucial Seahawks play that would have set them up near the Steelers' goal line was called back due to a debatable holding penalty, killing their momentum. Even neutral analysts said the officiating seemed to favor Pittsburgh. However, the head referee, Bill Levy, later apologized for mistakes in the game. Many fans believe the NFL wanted the Steelers to win as a feel-good story for veteran running back Jerome Bettis, who was retiring after the game. While we may never know if the game was intentionally manipulated, there is a case that the Super Bowl 40 was not fair enough.
Hasselbeck loses the ball at the 25-yard line.
Meanwhile, the New England Patriots have been the most dominant franchise of the modern era, but their success has often been clouded by scandal. Two of the most infamous incidents are Spygate and Deflategate, both of which raised questions about whether the team and possibly the league bent the rules in favor of a dynasty.
The league's first proven case of sideline spying has also revealed that these champions may be cheats.
In 2007, the Patriots were caught filming the defensive signals of the New York Jets from an unauthorized location. The NFL determined this was a violation of league rules, as teams were not allowed to record opponents' signals.
The Patriots have won 3 Super Bowls in the last 6 years, a dynasty. Now many are wondering if it's a dynasty built on deceit.
And as you would expect, the Patriots were fined $500,000, and head coach Bill Belichick took the blame, saying it was a misinterpretation of the rules. Meanwhile, there is a case that the Patriots had used this method for years, possibly even during their early Super Bowl wins. Before the 2015 AFC Championship game against the Indianapolis Colts, it was discovered that Patriots footballs were underinflated below the legal limit. This made them easier to grip, which could benefit quarterback Tom Brady in cold weather conditions. The Patriots won 45-7, but the scandal led to Tom Brady being suspended for 4 games the next season. And even though Brady and the Patriots denied any wrongdoing, the NFL still punished them. Beyond these major scandals, there have been many other games where officiating decisions seemed suspicious, leading to speculation that the NFL favors certain teams or matchups. While some incidents can be attributed to human error, the repeated history of controversial calls, rule changes, and alleged favoritism raises an important question. Is the game truly fair, or is it influenced by hidden agendas?
Steps out of bounds at about the 22. And the official, look at that. John Hussey helps him up.
The NFL is more than just a sports league, it's an entertainment empire. With billions of dollars in TV deals, sponsorships, and ticket sales, the league thrives on compelling storylines that keep fans engaged. From Tom Brady's rise to dominance to Mahomes' early superstardom, certain narratives seem too perfectly scripted. And when Super Bowl matchups feel too good to be true, some fans can't help but wonder, is the game shaping its own stories? If you've watched the NFL long enough, you've probably noticed something. Big market teams often benefit from controversial officiating in key moments. And when a small market team is up against a league favorite franchise, the refs often seem to lean one way.
Unnecessary roughness. Defense number 39.
Come on. I could not disagree with that one more.
Take, for instance, Tom Brady, who is widely considered the greatest quarterback of all time. But many believe he also received preferential treatment from referees, especially with roughing the passer penalties. In a 2022 game against the Falcons, Brady was sacked by Grady Jarrett in a clean tackle. The refs called roughing the passer, extending Tampa Bay's drive and sealing their win. Fans and analysts blasted the call, saying if it had been any other QB, the flag wouldn't have been thrown.
Hips and he's rolling through the tackle.
Defense number 97.
However, this wasn't an isolated incident. Throughout his career, Brady seemed to get the benefit of the doubt on questionable calls. Moreover, when a young star emerges, the NFL markets them aggressively. They get more primetime games, they are featured in more commercials and promotional material, and calls often seem to favor them in key moments to help them reach the Super Bowl. If the NFL profits from certain stars dominating the league, could the officiating be subtly influenced to keep those stars in the spotlight?
4 Detroit Lions players, including former first-round pick Jameson Williams, have been suspended for violating the NFL's gambling policy.
For decades, the NFL publicly distanced itself from sports betting, insisting that gambling had no influence on the game. But behind the scenes, the league's ties to Las Vegas sportsbooks and betting companies have always existed. Today, those connections are no longer hidden. They are openly embraced. For most of its history, the NFL took a strong stance against gambling, even going so far as to punish players and coaches for any involvement in betting. In the 1960s, Commissioner Pete Rozelle suspended 2 of the league's biggest stars, Paul Hornung and Alex Karras, for betting on games. The league avoided placing teams in Las Vegas for decades, fearing that proximity to sportsbooks would damage the integrity of the game. The NFL opposed legalizing sports betting in courts, arguing that it could lead to game fixing. But everything changed in 2018 when the U.S. Supreme Court struck down a federal law banning sports betting in most states. Suddenly, gambling became a goldmine for the league, and the NFL wasted no time cashing in. Today, the NFL has embraced sports gambling like never before. Over the years, the league has signed multi-million-dollar deals with major betting companies like DraftKings, FanDuel, and Caesars. Nowadays, if you watch an NFL game, you will see constant commercials encouraging fans to bet on point spreads, player props, and parlays. In 2020, the Las Vegas Raiders became the first NFL team based in the gambling capital of the world. The message is clear. The NFL no longer sees gambling as a threat. It sees it as a business opportunity.
NFL approved the move. The city's formerly seedy reputation has shifted, and now the city is known as a big league entertainment capital, hopefully ready for a big league football team.
One of the biggest concerns with the NFL's relationship with gambling is how officiating mistakes or questionable decisions can dramatically impact betting outcomes.
Many were apparently concerned about putting athletes in a city where gamblers could try to influence the game.
A point spread is a betting line set by sportsbooks that determines how many points one team is favored to win by. Instead of betting on just who wins, bettors wager on whether a team covers the spread. This is where officiating comes into play. A single bad call, missed penalty, or overturned touchdown can shift millions of dollars in bets.
The call on the field stands. Touchdown. Game is over.
For instance, in the 2012 season, the Seattle Seahawks faced the Green Bay Packers. On the final play of the game, Seahawks quarterback Russell Wilson threw a last-second Hail Mary pass into the end zone. Packers safety M.D. Jennings clearly intercepted the ball, but replacement referees wrongly ruled it a touchdown for Seattle. The Seahawks won 14-12, and the outcome flipped millions in bets, as the Packers were favored by 3 points. In this game, many suspected the game was influenced by outside interests, especially since the NFL's regular referees were on strike and inexperienced replacement refs were making the calls. Meanwhile, in Super Bowl 40, the Pittsburgh Steelers were favored by 4 points over the Seattle Seahawks. A series of controversial penalties against Seattle, including a phantom offensive pass interference call and a questionable touchdown for Ben Roethlisberger, helped Pittsburgh win by 11 points. While it seemed like Seahawks were robbed, there is a chance that the lopsided officiating helped sportsbooks cash in. But these are just a few examples of games where controversial calls conveniently helped sportsbooks. With billions on the line, could certain calls be influenced? At this point, the biggest concern is whether the league benefits from specific game outcomes. The idea that the NFL might not be 100% fair and legitimate isn't just a theory from angry fans, it is something that former players, referees, and insiders have hinted at for years. Several people who have worked within the league, from referees to former players and even NFL executives, have made shocking claims about the league's influence on game outcomes. Some say games are subtly manipulated to favor certain teams, extend playoff series, or create more dramatic Super Bowl matchups. And if you think sports leagues would never rig games, just look at the Tim Donaghy NBA scandal, where a referee was caught fixing games for gambling profits. He worked with illegal gambling operations, giving them inside info about games. He made calls that directly impacted the point spread, ensuring he and his associates made millions of dollars. When caught, Donaghy was arrested and sentenced to prison, exposing how easy it was for a referee to manipulate a game without anyone noticing.
Why do you think you did it?
Because I fell into an addiction of gambling.
How did it begin?
Playing golf at country clubs.
If it happened in the NBA, could the same thing be happening in the NFL? With so much money on the line, it's not impossible that refs could be pressured to make calls that influence betting lines, and NFL insiders could pass information to gamblers, just like Donaghy did in the NBA. If a single NBA ref could change games for years without getting caught, how easy would it be for an NFL ref or insider to do the same? Every NFL game is filled with judgment calls, holding, pass interference, roughing the passer, and more. Since refs make split-second decisions, some mistakes are inevitable. But when certain teams consistently benefit from controversial calls, it raises serious concerns. The NFL introduced instant replay reviews to help fix mistakes, but many times, replay has added more controversy instead of clarity. Reviews have overturned obvious errors, such as incorrectly called touchdowns, fumbles that were ruled incomplete passes, and catch or no-catch disputes. Despite having multiple camera angles and slow-motion footage, some blatant mistakes are not overturned. However, one of the biggest criticisms of NFL officiating is its inconsistency. The same play might be called a penalty in one game but ignored in another. Some teams seem to get called for every small hold, while others get away with clear holds in key moments? Could it be that certain calls are made or ignored based on the situation rather than fairness? Meanwhile, one of the darkest secrets in NFL history is that the league has had connections to organized crime. In the 1970s, the FBI launched an investigation into the connections between NFL teams and the mafia. What they found was alarming. Several team owners had financial ties to mobsters. Illegal gambling operations were run in connection with NFL insiders. Game fixing was suspected but never officially proven. How can officials catch the slightest movement from an offensive lineman but somehow miss an egregious face mask happening directly in front of them? It defies logic. These calls influence games. That's the key point. Not every game is rigged, but to say they aren't manipulated or influenced in ways that favor certain narratives, teams, or outcomes is to ignore the obvious. Virtually every fan base has felt it, that creeping suspicion that something isn't right. Sometimes the mistakes are just too blatant, too frequent, too impactful to be dismissed as mere human error. Football is a game millions love, but the business that runs it, that's where the trust begins to crumble. And so, we are left with a question no fan ever wants to ask. Maybe it's not about the best team winning, maybe it's about the best story winning. Maybe the NFL isn't just a league, maybe it's a business built on illusion. This isn't just speculation, it's a pattern, a history, a trail of evidence that leads to one undeniable truth. The game might not be as real as you think. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this breakdown, drop a like and subscribe to the channel. Also, do you believe in these accusations, or are they just human errors? Let us know in the comments.